What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about my birth story with Samantha, my C-section actually with Samantha, and I'm just going to go into detail, tell you from beginning to end when we had to wake up, why I had to have a C-section, and so let's get into the video. So the reason why I had to have a C-section was because Samantha was breech, where her head was at the top and her butt was at the bottom of my belly, if that makes sense. Y'all probably know what it means. But so the doctor said you're gonna have a C-section, unfortunately, because she's breech and it's too far along to turn her around. And I was really upset about that because I had in my head that I was going to have a natural delivery. I was going to deliver her vaginally. I had my whole birth plan set up. So I pretty much cried in the doctor's office when they told me you're going to have a C-section. And so I prayed about it. I went upside down on the couch. I'll put a video in here.
This is how you turn a baby over?
The doctor told me not to do this.
Yeah, she said no, those things work.
I tried everything. I tried essential oils. I tried to go upside down. I even tried to move her around myself, and the doctor told me to do none of those things. So, and none of it worked. But I also prayed, I fasted, and the Lord had a different plan for me. So we had to wake up super duper early in the morning. We had to wake up at like 4 something because we were 30 minutes away from the hospital, 30 to 45 minutes, and we had to be there at 5 a.m. And I'm not a morning person, so that was not good for me. But I thought I wasn't gonna sleep because I'd be so scared, and I was just nervous. So I actually slept the night before pretty well, and I went to sleep. I don't know how, why, but I did. And we woke up. I was refreshed. I was ready to get this baby out of me. And so, we woke up. We were driving to the hospital, me and Tommy, we were driving to the hospital, and I was just going crazy in my head. And the C-section didn't even start until 7 a.m., but we had to be there at 5. So we were on the road no later than 4:30. So once we got there, oh, my mom followed behind us too. We got there, we signed in, and they pretty much got us back right away. And the whole time we were there, we really never had to wait for anything. Just nonstop, people were coming in and out and in and out. So they took us to our room in the back, and it was really scary because hospitals are cold and they're super clean, which is great, but they're just freaky. And so they took us back there to the room, and they're like, okay, here's your gown, go get naked. So I went into the bathroom and I put my gown on. So after I put the gown on, I go back into the room, and there's some nurses and Tommy and my mom there, and they attempt to put my IV in, but apparently my veins they poke out, but they're really tiny, and so it took this nurse like 3 times to figure out they need somebody else to put my IV in, and because it kept breaking. And so they get somebody else, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is not a good start to this process for today. But they get somebody else in who hasn't been working all night and who is tired and ready to go home, and she breaks my other side of my veins on my other arm, and blood just goes everywhere on the floor. And so I'm kind of freaking out to myself inside, but I'm just laying there like, oh my gosh, am I gonna bleed out? And so, anywho, they finally get the IV in, which did not feel good because they kept having to poke me with a needle in my tiny little noodle arms. And so they finally got the. Okay, so once they got the IV in, they had the anesthesiologist guy come in, and I had to sign all these forms because they have to do like a spinal tap and everything. Sorry if you hear Samantha, she just woke up from her nap and she's playing. Hi, baby. Hi. But yeah, okay, so the anesthesiologist guy came in, and I asked like 1,000 questions, and he was like, usually people don't ask this much, but I'm like, I like to know what's going to go on. I like to know what they're going to do to me because, like, I have a right to know. You can ask all these questions because they're doing it to you. You know what I mean? I asked a lot of questions. I signed all the forms. And then the lady was like, okay, are you ready to go to the OR? And I'm like, okay, let's go. But no, I'm like, just keep Samantha in me now. I'm not ready for this. But anyway, so I walked. They're like, we could roll you in, or you could walk in. So I was like, no, I'm walking. I'm gonna do this. So I walked to the OR. My mom went to the waiting room, and then they put Tommy in this, blue thing, and then he had a mask on and a hairnet, and because sterilized for the OR and everything, so he had to wear all that stuff, and he had to actually wait outside until they told him he can come in, which I didn't like, but I mean, I can't change the rules. So we get into the OR, and there is this table that is like, it's like if you laid on it, if you rolled one way, you'd fall off. So it was, I don't know why they have it like that, but it was a very tiny table, and so it was like really long and skinny. So like I like fit on it like barely. I could not move, even though I couldn't feel anything once they gave me the spinal tap. So I sat up, and there was a doctor, lady, nurse, whatever, in front of me, and she like held on to me, and then the anesthesiologist was behind me, and then my doctor who was doing the surgery, getting Samantha out, she was just talking to me and like kind of giving me encouraging words and everything, which I appreciated because I just needed to talk about something else and not think of anything, but I don't know. So the anesthesiologist was like, okay, bend over, arch your back, and he said I had a really perfect spine for this, which made me really happy because I didn't want them to mess up or like paralyze me or anything. So I'm not afraid of needles, but like I heard like a spinal tap or epidural. I don't know if there's a difference. They called it a spinal tap, what I got. So I don't know if there's a difference between that and an epidural, but that's what they gave me. And so I bent over, and I pretty much had my head in this lady's boobs, and I was like, I'm sorry, I have my head in your boobs right now, but I was like bending over, just like kind of, I didn't even care, I didn't even notice because I was just like trying to be so still and everything. So, and she's like, oh, it's okay. And so I was just talking to her, and when they put the needle in, it actually did not hurt until they pushed like whatever they push in, and I felt a really sharp pain in my lower back, but after like maybe 30 seconds it was gone, and it wasn't even that bad. Like my IV hurt worse than the spinal tap, which a lot of people told me it would, but it especially did for me because they had to poke me like 10 times. So yeah, so after they did that, they're like, okay, you have to lay down really quick so we don't have to help you, and this can just, it can work. And so after they did that, they did my spinal tap, and then they're like, okay, we're going to put your catheter in now, which I was so uncomfortable with, but I didn't feel a thing because I instantly started getting numb. So right when I got numb, they put my catheter in, and I felt very uncomfortable doing that, but I didn't feel a thing, so it was okay. So after that, they put this curtain up right here, like from my upper belly up, and I couldn't see anything, and my arms had to go to the sides and everything. I don't know what this child is doing. Hi. Okay, but I had to put my arms to the sides, and this guy came with a spray bottle, and he got my arm, and he said, okay, do you feel this cold air and everything? I was like, yeah, I feel it. He's like, okay, I'm gonna spray on your belly. When you feel the same cold sensation, tell me to stop. So he started at the bottom, and he went all the way to the top, and once I felt it, it was like right at the top of my belly where I felt that. And he's like, okay, that's perfect, which I guess they were testing if I was numb or not. And so I constantly, so many times, was like, when can Tommy come in? When can Tommy come in? Because, there's a bunch of doctors that I don't know. This OR room was so dang small. It freaked me out. Like, I don't know why it was so small, but it was small, cold, and lights everywhere. So very uncomfortable feeling. And the whole time I was praying constantly from the time I woke up that morning to the time I haven't stopped now, since, if you're a mom, you pray constantly when you have a baby. But anywho, so I kept asking for Tommy, and they're like, he can't come in yet. And so they're getting everything set up, and this nurse comes over to me, and I'm asking her how many kids she has, and because I'm nervous here, I don't know what to do, so I'm just laying there while everybody's working, doing their thing. She apparently starts, so I asked her, I was like, can you tell me when you start, please? She's like, I already have, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm cut open and I'm awake, and so I'm just trying to stay calm and everything. And so I keep asking when Tommy gets to come in, and they finally let him in. And I'm so thankful because I was freaking out until he got in there, and then I was more calm. So he got in there, and he sits down next to me, and they pretty much have a nurse for him. They have a nurse for the dads because some dads pass out, some dads freak out, and they have a nurse like just specifically for them to calm them down. So I thought that was kind of crazy, but he did amazing. When he got in there, he sat down right next to me to on my left side, and he kind of peeked over, but they kind of looked at him like, no, you're not allowed to look. But he saw like the inside of me, like he saw my uterus. He said it looked like a big balloon, which was kind of cool. But so they're talking, and we're all just talking, and we're trying to make small talk. And I'm like, if I'm not holding somebody's hand, like I'm starting to feel nauseous. It's weird. But before even all this happened, I asked the anesthesiologist dude, I was like, am I supposed to feel like I'm about to throw up? And he's like, do you feel nauseous? Do you feel like you're going to throw up? And I'm like, kind of, but I don't know if it's just the nerves. And so he's like, well, we'll give you something for it. So they gave me something instantly. When they gave me something, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I don't feel nauseous anymore. So I'm guessing it was because of nausea. And so okay, fast forward. So they're taking Samantha out of me and everything. They're like, okay, you're going to feel a lot of pressure. So they are I feel my body moving, but I can't feel it moving. That makes really no sense. But like, I'm numb, but you can tell they're tugging at me. Like, it's a really weird sensation. I hated the sensation of not being able to feel anything. It feels like you're paralyzed, and I never wish that on anybody. Like, I've never had a natural birth, but I don't want to have to feel numb again. So, anywho. So they keep tugging, and they're like, she's stuck in your hip. No wonder my hip hurt the whole dang pregnancy. So she was stuck in my hip, so they had to tug her out. And once they saw her, they're like, oh my gosh, she's chunky. And everybody thought I was going to have a small baby. They're like, oh, 6 pounds, 7 max. And I thought she was going to be 7 pounds. And no, she came out 8 pounds, 1 ounce. And once she came out and I heard her scream, or, like cry, because, they make the babies cry after, I was like, like, I didn't know what to think. And so they took her over to the little area that they clean her up in, and Tommy looked at me. He's like, can I go over? I was like, no, go be with her. And so I didn't have anybody to hold my hand when he went over there. So the anesthesiologist guy was over here on my other side, and I said, can you hold my hand until he gets back? And so I'm holding the anesthesiologist guy's hand. I'm looking over at Tommy and Samantha, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was inside me. And Tommy's just like, I don't know, taking pictures and just watching her, and it was amazing. And so after they get her cleaned up, they bring her over to me, and I see her, and of course I think she's the most precious thing in the world, and it's just so fun. And she's eating all the blankets right now that she's on. But yeah, and so after all the OR stuff, and I asked them, like, are you almost done? And they're like, oh, we're almost there. And so yeah, so Samantha comes out, and then after they close me up, they have to put me on a different table to roll me out. So they're like, okay, you're going to feel like you're falling since you can't feel anything. So all you do is cross your arms like this, and you don't do anything. You just hold on like as tight as you can. And I'm like, okay. And so they flip me over. Like, okay, so if this is my body, they flip me over, and then they roll me over. Like, not fully, but they roll me onto another side. I don't know what she's doing. But so I seriously felt like it was true. I felt like I was gonna fall, but I knew they had a table there, so I wasn't really freaked out about it. But it was just a weird sensation, Okay, so we go out of the OR room, and we go into this room where we have to stay there for 2 hours. That they have to change my catheter out, which is gross. It was so weird having that in there, but to be honest, I really didn't feel it. And then Samantha actually had to go to the NICU for 2 hours. Not 2 hours. Samantha actually had to go to the NICU because she had fluid on her lungs, and that's actually a really common thing for breech babies. and C-section babies. And because when they come out, they apparently swallow the fluid and it got on her lungs. Well, she had to go there. She's completely fine. Nothing bad happened to her, but it worried me because I was just cut open. I just had a baby, and it's a lot going on. And so my mom went with her over there. But before that, Tommy's mom got to come in, and my mom got to come in, and they got to meet her, and it was awesome. So after those 2 hours went by, after they kept checking they like pushed on my stomach to try to get everything out. Oh, and they also, in the OR room, they put these compression things on my calves, and they kind of compressed to keep the circulation going since I couldn't move, in my legs or anything, and I couldn't walk, and I wasn't going to be able to walk until the next day because I had major abdominal surgery. So after those 2 hours, they rolled us into the other room that we're going to be staying in overnight, and kind of like our, little home away from home, hospital home. And so after that, I tried to breastfeed. People came to visit. Yeah, I'm talking about you. So I tried to breastfeed. People came to visit, and it was great. The only thing I did not like was that I couldn't stand up. I couldn't change her diaper unless she was on me, but it was hard because I couldn't sit my body up. So Tommy had to do all that, which he did great. He was up with her all night, and I was up with her too because I had to feed her. But he had to stand up, grab her, change her diaper, and do all that because I wasn't able to stand up until the next day, which I really didn't like. And I was in a lot of pain, and that was not fun. Say hi. She doesn't have any clothes on because she spit up all on them, and then I took them off, and then she had her bottle and went to sleep. So we're naked right now. Obviously it's a diaper. But so yeah, I was in a lot of pain, and I know women go through pain during delivery, but I think it was the pain from the surgery. Like, cause that pain happened for the next 6 weeks. And so I'm guessing that was a surgery because I don't think that happens with natural birth. I don't know because I haven't had one. I haven't experienced that. But I think it was from the surgery, the pain. So they had to give me pain meds, and I was using my essential oils and everything. So yeah. And so they came in like all throughout the night and everything, and they came in all throughout the night, just having to check me, see how I was doing. Sometimes they even took her, which I didn't like, and but to be honest, I don't remember a lot from the hospital because I was so drugged up. Yeah, it was. I guess it's a good and bad thing because I didn't like it when they took her, and I didn't like it when she cried and all that stuff. What mom does though, but yeah. So that was pretty much my experience with that. But we finally got to go home after only 48 hours, and I was healing great. And I took a shower once I got to stand up the next day, and I was so scared to stand up because I thought everything was just gonna fall out of me, and my incision was gonna go open, and if I stood up straight, I thought it was just gonna rip, which it didn't, which is great. Oh, and how they closed me, they put staples in. I had like 15 staples in me. The scar is like only like that big, and it's really thin, but they had staples in there, and it was really weird. Like, like you staple paper, you don't staple people. I had staples in me, so I was kind of scared to stand up, but I got to take a shower, and Tommy helped me with that because I was very weak because I hadn't stood in, what, 24 hours or more? I don't know, but yeah, so I was weak. They finally took my catheter out, which I was so thankful for, and I got to go to the bathroom myself. And because the catheter thing freaked me out, but when they took it out, it didn't really hurt that bad. Some people say it hurts really bad. It didn't hurt me. It was awkward, but it didn't hurt. Like, it felt awkward, but I was fine. That was my birth story, my C-section with Samantha Grace. if y'all can hear me. And thank y'all for watching. I will see y'all next time.